Welcome. You are right on time. My name is Galleon, and I am here to help you make your next watch purchase the right one for you. Now, imagine this. What if the Omega Aquaterra was reimagined, not as a luxury accessory, but as a true, no-nonsense tool watch? What if it were stripped of all the pretense and built for the realities of everyday life and priced to actually wear, not worship? Well, Certina already did it, nearly a decade ago. This is the Certina DS Action Fixed Bezel Reference C blah 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 blah, a piece I like to call the Aquaterra Forte, or just Forte. Some might call it the Aquaterra Lite or the Budget Terra, but names aside, here's what you need to know. You're getting COSC certified Swiss quartz accuracy, 200 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, and one of the most underrated case constructions in modern watchmaking, all backed by Certina's half-century legacy of rugged reliability. It's sharp enough for the office, tough enough for the trail, and precise enough to leave most mechanical watches in the dust. But here's the kicker. This thing costs a fraction of what you'd expect, and despite flying under the radar for almost 10 years, it still feels ahead of its time. So, does this beat the Aquaterra at its own game? Stick around, you might just be surprised. Certina dates back to the 1800s, but everything changed in 1959 with the introduction of their double security, or DS, system. By encoding the case with multiple O-ring seals, a reinforced caseback, and a shock-absorbing structure, they made reliability a foundational feature of their brand. Fast forward to this model, which integrates that legacy with 21st century sensibilities, such as a screw-down crown, anti-reflective coated sapphire crystals, and a sealed crown tube plus multiple gaskets. It's a bit like lifestyle armor, a protective shell that you wear, not just a slogan of the brand. It's the kind of build that brings confidence whether you're working, hiking, or sailing, or just enjoying life in general. Let's talk specifications. The case measures 41mm wide, about 10.9mm thick, and has a like-to-like measurement of roughly 48mm, the perfect proportions for most wrists. Build quality is a pure 316L stainless steel, heavily brushed for abrasion resistance and low glare. The case features crown guards with simple, nerd and sawing crown, nestled in between, which, together with a screw-down caseback, imparts the watch with a very capable 200 meters of water resistance. That has been ISO tested and compliant as well. This is, of course, a field-style watch, so no dive bezel here. Instead, the bezel is brushed, with high polished chamfering for just that little bit of flash as the case catches the light. The lugs are ever so slightly curved for a flatter, more ergonomic wear on your wrist, which I'll show later on in this video. The obvious nod to the Aquaterra design, however, is of course the dial and dial furniture, but it's by no means a like-for-like replica, more an homage. The applied Luneville obelisk style indices and the chapter ring featuring the minute track with striking orange 5-minute indicators, with a somewhat color-matched red-tipped seconds hand and contrasting depth rating dial text, together remind me strongly of the Omega Seamaster Aquaterra Steel Reference 231104221010002, which I'll put on screen somewhere. That is, however, where the similarities end. The Forte features applied, polished Delphine hands filled with Super Luminova, a date window at the 6 o'clock, sitting atop a round index, and an oversized 12 o'clock marker that somewhat looks like what you'll find on the Longines Conquest quartz, all set against a subtle graphite gray sunburst dial. Dial execution is of course one of the most interesting aesthetic features of the Forte. Under most lighting conditions, the watch face looks mostly in inky black rather than the flashy, often reflective effect from sunburst finished dials. This really helps with daytime legibility. The anti-reflective sapphire keeps glare at bay, making the dial readable even in bright conditions. On my 6.2-inch wrist, the watch wears true to size thanks to its relative proportions. The thinner profile and caseback help it to sit flush. And on my Anachronis NATO strap, the watch hits set very comfortably with no awkward bobble or gaps, thanks to the slightly curved case profile. I reckon, however, that this would be a perfect fit for anyone with a wrist of 6.5 inches and above. So yes, the Aquaterra parallels are unmistakable, particularly in the layout and proportion of the dial. But what makes the Forte compelling isn't how closely it copies the Omega, it's how confidently it breaks away. There is a certain restraint here, a utilitarian elegance that feels less about luxury polish and more about functional readiness. Where the Aquaterra can sometimes feel like a dress watch masquerading as a tool watch, the Forte knows exactly what it is. It wears with a kind of ease that makes you forget that you have it on, until the light hits the graphite somber style just right and you're reminded that the purpose and beauty don't have to be opposites. It's comfortable, confident, and quietly versatile, and that, to me, is what makes this more than just an homage. It's a statement of intent. But before we get into the movement, let's zoom out for a moment. Certina, of course, doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It sits under the Swatch Group umbrella, alongside heavy hitters like Omega, Longines, Tissot, and Hamilton. And while Certina doesn't get the same marketing firepower as Omega or even Tissot, it's exactly that quieter position that gives it the freedom to innovate, refine, and punch way above its weight. This model, the Forte, feels like the result of shared design DNA. The dial, finishing, and layout feel undeniably influenced by Omega's Aquaterra lineage. But where Omega polished things for the boutique, Certina has built this to take knocks. It's the same philosophy, just wearing hiking boots instead of loafers. What that Swatch Group connection really brings access to is EDA's top-shelf quartz movements, industry-grade case construction techniques, and, perhaps most importantly, quality control that rivals brands 2 price tiers above. And that is really important right now in 2025. Because right now, this price segment is crowded, especially in the high accuracy quartz and solar quartz field watch space. You've got smaller independent brands like Veye pumping out a plethora of field watches, boasting solar movements with 100 meters of water resistance and in a range of case designs and configurations. Meanwhile, household names like Citizen continue to churn out low-cost, solidly built titanium EcoDrive everyday watches. Even Casio's Oceanius line, though not as readily available, packs Bluetooth syncing, GPS time, and solar in a svelte titanium build for just a little bit more money. Yet what makes the Forte so compelling is its clarity of purpose. It doesn't try to dazzle with tech or gimmicks or pseudo-luxury finishes. It is unapologetically analog. No Bluetooth, no atomic syncing, no solar. Just throw it on, forget it, accuracy with cost certification to prove its chops. Where some brands aim to win in a spec-shaped battle, Certina wins on feel, tool-like precision, real-world usability, and the kind of trust that builds over years, over decades of wear. This is the kind of watch that doesn't need to scream about innovation, because it's been quietly doing the job since long before some of its competitors even entered the space. Powering this watch is the ETA Quartz Caliber F06.411 with Certina's procedural system. This means COSC certified chronometer accuracy with a rate deviation of plus to minus 10 seconds per year. To put that into context, Grand Seiko's 9F Quartz delivers the same plus or minus 10 seconds per year with handcrafted regulation, backlash auto adjusters, and instant date change. Citizen's flagship high-accuracy models, like the Chronomaster and the Citizen, sometimes go even tighter, at plus or minus 5 seconds per year, and often include thermal compensation or solar charging. What's crucial here is Certina's choice to skip solar. This is a true throw-on-and-go instrument. Insert the battery, wear it, and change the cell every few years. You get simple, reliable performance without solar quirks or lines or lighting. The end-of-life indicator means that the second hand jumps every 4 seconds when a battery swap is due, so you'll never be caught off guard. That long-term accuracy, user convenience, and value positioning give it serious legibility in the spec charts, without luxury pricing. The lume here is superluminova on the hands and indices. That said, it's not going to light up a room like some high-end dive watches, but it's bright enough to read the time after a quick charge. You don't need a torch, there's a confident glow that works when you need it. In 2025, this package still matters, with typical pricing around £435 in the UK, or roughly $480 to $500 you're getting a true cost-certified chronometer performance, Swiss construction, 200-meter water resistance, and a pretty rugged build, without anywhere near the Omega price tag. This truly has been built for professionals, adventurers, travelers, and anyone who wants to wear their watch every single day. It's for people who value accuracy over headlines, utility over logos. If you want a timepiece that just works on a hike, on a meeting, by the marina, this is it. So, does the Forte live up to the ideal of Omega's sports dress watch, but refocused and reframed as a real-world tool watch? Absolutely. You get precision that rivals higher-end quartz systems, durability rooted in decades of DS engineering, and styling that's clean, versatile, and timeless. It of course has its flaws. If you're looking for solar, you're pretty much on your own. The lume is basic. The stock leather strap, pretty forgettable. But none of that undermines its strength. Cost accuracy built to go the distance without worry or hesitation. So, what nickname would you give it? The Aquaterra Lite, the Budget Terra, the Terra for everyday use, or something else entirely? What other quartz field watches have you sported on your wrist recently? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Keep your watches wound so you're right on time. Or just wear quartz. I'll see you in the next one.